Hello, I'm Federico Pieckenstainer, and today I'm going to talk about George Kelly, his personal construct theory, some assessments, growth and development, contributions, and criticisms. We're also going to try to understand how a personality theory does not require any unconscious ego, drive, motivation, or even emotion. Okay, but to understand this, we first need to understand what he called constructs. Okay, constructs. Oh, okay. Kelly said that all our events are all about of our perception of those events. Okay, so in this way, we create patterns that lead to predictions that help us predict how future outcomes are gonna be. Okay, and then we test them against reality, just like a scientist with a hypothesis and its conclusion. Okay, so constructs are presented in scientific format and organized in 11 corollaries. So now I'll go over all of them and explain how they are helpful to predict future outcomes and anticipate situations. Okay? First, construction corollary, similarities among repeated events. So this basically say that you can live an identical same situation and maybe you're gonna perceive it in a different way is the most probable option. Okay, so let's say you watch a movie today and you watch the same movie in the same couch in the same place 1 week ahead. Okay, you're gonna perceive this movie differently both times. Okay, maybe some things happen in the week, maybe your mood was different, maybe a scene that shocked you the first time won't do it the second time. So it's basically the same identical situation, but you're gonna perceive it in a complete different way. Okay, then we have a individual corollary. Individual corollary says that you might live exactly an identical same situation with someone else and you're going to perceive it differently because of background, mood, situation in the moment. Maybe you're having a bad day, but you're going to perceive it differently. Okay, so let's say you buy a car with your friend and you're driving in the highway. Then a police officer pulls you over. So one of the friends, friend number one, is shaking, is super scared. He cannot grab his documents or talk to the police officer. And friend number two, he's chilling. He's just having a good conversation with the police officer. He's saying the right words in the right moment. So they basically are living exactly the same situation that is affecting both the same, but they have different perceptions of the same event. Okay? Then organization corollary. There are relationship among constructs. So, between constructs, we create patterns. Let me organize this. So, patterns are these sub-constructs that we create under the idea of a more global one. So, let's say you know someone and you create a construct of this person that is a happy person. So, automatically under these constructs, you create three or some sub-constructs that in this case are funny, open-minded, and friendly. Okay? But here's the thing. Here is the thing. They are open to change. So if then you meet like properly this person and it's the opposite, you will change this. You will change this construct for something good to something bad, or the other way around, for something bad to something good. Then the I don't really know how to pronounce it. The dichotomy corollary. Consider there are two mutually exclusive alternatives. For me, it's the easier to explain and to understand. So basically, when you build a construct, you need to consider the opposite too. Okay, let's say you have a friend that is loyal, is been always with you, so you know this friend is loyal. So you, right in the moment, need to consider the opposite, disloyal. Okay, this doesn't mean that your friend is not, or is gonna change, or he's not loyal anymore. This means that first it gives more validity to both because you can differentiate them, and then you can differ. Okay, this construct starts being something because you can differ something loyal from something unloyal. Okay, disloyal, sorry. And the same with every construct. Then the choice corollary. Okay, here is where freedom of choice starts to act. Okay, in this one you choose the construct that works better for you in in certain situations. Okay, so let's say you have two internship opportunities. Company number one is the place you went last year for last summer. Okay, so you know the people, you know your coworkers, your boss, they treat you well. Okay, And then company number two is a complete new place. You don't know anything. You don't know your coworkers, your boss, if they're gonna treat you well or not. But here's the thing: there is a better payment. So here is where you choose what Kelly call security or adventure. The first option would be the secure option, security option, but with less reward. And the second one would be the adventure, okay, something uncertain, but with a bigger reward. And here's where we choose. Then range corollary. In this one, Kelly said that every contract has a range of convenience. Okay, range of convenience is basically a measurement of the level of application of constructs. Okay, so it would have a high range of convenience if the construct is applicable to many things, such as reliable, unreliable, that you can apply it to almost everything. And then if it has a low range of convenience, it means that you cannot apply it to many things, okay, such as short and tall. That you can apply maybe to a person, like a basketball player, or maybe like a building or something, but not to many things really. Then the experience corollary, okay, this is the exposure to new experiences. So we interpret these situations depending on the environment. Let me give you an example. Maybe your definition of happiness when you were younger is not the same that it is right now, or when you grow up. Okay, maybe when you were younger, your definition of happiness was watching TV by yourself, and now that you grew up, your definition of happiness is to hang out with your family, have a good time, deep conversation, and drink something. Okay, so here this construct is adapting to the environment, that in this case is your age, your maturity, and the things you like, or you perceive differently. Then, modulation corollary, adapting to new experiences. Okay, here Kaylee expressed that is a reflection of how good or bad the constructs adapt to changes on events or situations environment. And he described this as a permeable or not permeable. And the permeability, okay, this permeability is basically if these um, constructs are good adapting to changes in the environment, it has a good permeability. And if it doesn't, if it is not good adapting to changes, it has a low permeability. Okay, then the fragmentation corollary, there is a competition among constructs. Okay, so we know that uh, constructs adapt to changes. Okay, but what if these are the opposite? So let's say you meet someone, but and you meet this person at his job, and he has a really high position, so he's super strict, he's loud, he's serious. Okay, he's never out of character, he's always serious. And then you go to a friend's house and he's there. Okay, he invited him somehow, and you meet him, and this same person is super funny, relaxed, having a drink. So you change your construct about this person, but maybe you don't change your construct about the people that work in this company. Okay, so basically, this means that we tolerate inconsistencies in construct without changing our overall construct system. Okay, corollary. We know that people perceive events differently, but sometimes with some people we do perceive it similarly. Okay, so if many, this means that this corollary says that if many people perceives the event in a similar way, it means that their cognitive process is similar too, and this happens a lot with people of the same culture. Okay, because they've been taught and they've been learning the same thing since they grew up. And then last but not least, the sociality corollary, okay? Consider interpersonal relationships. And this basically means that to approach people, you need to consider their constructs too. Okay, not only your constructs to this person, but this person constructs to world or to people. Because maybe something that you understand as normal, they might perceive it differently, and they might take it in a different way. Okay, so now that we know how Kelly thought, how was his way of thinking, that our perception of experience was bigger than the experience itself, or more important, we can tell that he had a really open and optimistic view of humanity. Okay, this also explains why this theory doesn't require much unconscious and motivation, because he was really trusting our capacity to change and build and shape our personality while we are growing, and our capacity to perceive our situations the way we not we want to, but we should do. Okay, so he was really optimistic with humanity, and he was really open. This was also helping a lot to understand some of the therapeutic techniques and assessments that he had. Okay, and now I'll go over all of them. The interview first. If you don't know what's in a person's mind, ask them. They might tell you the answer. So basically, the interview was asking his clients what their constructs were. And in this way, he thought it was way more efficient and way more easier. It sounds simple, but he said it was more efficient and way easier than trying to find things on the unconscious. Okay? Then self characterization sketches. Uh, self characterization sketches was making his clients describe a sketch of personal characterized sketch of themselves, but they should describe this character that was them as if they were a friend of this character, but that knows it like no one else does. And he said it is really helpful to see how his clients perceive themselves compared to others. Okay, then the role construct repertory test was basically that clients needed to list names of people on their life with different roles. Then Kelly would give three names, and clients needed to separate the two that were more similar and the one that was more different. Then these names were put in a diagram that was called the repertory grind, and then the names were coming out, and the clients could find out could I'm sorry, Kaylee could find out what the client's construct for these people was. Okay. Then the role of the dichotomist, that was basically asking his clients to describe their relationships in dichotomies, such as supportive and unsupportive, maybe loyal and disloyal, or serious and not serious. Okay, he said it was helpful to find out what the expectations of his clients were toward their relationships. And then fixed role therapy. This was another time that they needed to make a character of themselves, but this sketch in this time was previously prepared by the psychologist. Okay, so basically, clients will see themselves in this sketch in a situation where their old and negative constructs weren't working anymore, and the new construct that the psychologist is proposing is working and is way more efficient. Okay, so in this way he could show this to his clients. Then a couple years after the theory was out, some research came on, and some of the findings were stability over time, that it says that the REP was really reliable, but the validity was 100% about of the ability of the psychologist on interpreting results. Then effect of emotional state, as you can say, emotional state really affect how the results were, and it also showed that people with schizophrenia, depression, or neuroticism were really bad at uh, constrained social situations. Okay, then real world application. This basically means that this REP test was applied for many things, such as reliability for clients, maybe performance in a job, for many things and in many areas. And then people separ people into cognitive styles, cognitive complexity and cognitive simplicity. Okay, cognitive complexity is the ability to um, discriminate differences in this process of applying personal constructs to others. Okay, And cognitive simplicity is basically the lack of this ability to discriminate differences when applying personal constructs to others. Okay, some reflections and thoughts. The criticisms were that rational, not enough emotion taken in consideration, too short and simple, difficult writing style, and not really accepted in US. And some supportings were that it was original and unique, applied in many fields, big international interest, and Kaylee said that the theory was open to growth and change with time. Okay, so in conclusion, I think for that moment it was a really different theory than people was used to listen normally, and I think such as me too, this theory opened many minds and probably made many people perceive things in different ways about how we normally build our situations and really think of the option that we might shape our perception of situations. So it was really interesting to me. I hope you guys liked it, and this was George Kelly and the personal construct theory. Thank you for your attention.